And and on the flip side, with children, there's some parents out there who want to be friends with their children, but those children don't let their parents in. They keep these little invisible walls up, and they don't bring them in. And because they think it's kind of uncool. Oh, I can't talk to my parents about that kind of stuff. I mean, that's a little weird. No, it's not weird and it's not uncool. If it was weird and uncool, the prophets of God wouldn't have done it. The Ahlul Bayt wouldn't have done it. In chapter 28, verse 26, there's a very beautiful story in relation to Prophet Shu'aib. Prophet Shu'aib had daughters, and Prophet Moses met those daughters. And the daughter of Prophet Shu'aib was so impressed with the conduct of Nabi Musa alayhi salam that she told her father in the following verse, Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim, Ya abati istajir, inna khayri man istajarta al-qawiyyul amin. O my father, employ him. Surely the best of those that you can employ is the strong man and a faithful one. Prophet Shu'aib eventually ended up giving one of his daughters to Nabi Musa alayhi salam. You see how she was so open in telling her father, you know what, you need to employ this man. This is a trustworthy man. It's a strong man. She had this confidence that she could talk to her father. And eventually, Prophet Shu'aib gave Nabi Musa alayhi salam his daughter. So be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has given us life so that we can constantly try to mend, repair, and strengthen that bond of friendship between our parents and our children. What about outside of our families? We should look to put people in our lives who constantly help us into being better humans and in turn being better Muslims. Our friends should help us to move towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not away from Him. How should we be with our friends? Friends should say to their friends, hey, let's go to this place because there's a good speaker coming in town. Let's go to the masjid, there's such and such speakers coming. Let's work on our Quranic recitation. Let's read the Prophet's biography. Let's research this part of history. Let's read some books on hadith. I'm not really familiar with fiqh too much. So let's pick up a book on fiqh so we can understand the sharia, the Islamic law better. Not somebody who's going to take you to a party where music is running rampant, where morality is nowhere to be found, where alcohol is being drunk. These two phrases should be at the forefront of every friendship and relationship. Amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. Enjoining the good and forbidding the wrong. It seems to be that majority of Muslims are pros at nahy anil munkar. Hey, you should not do this, brother. Why are you doing this? Astaghfirullah. This is very common. They'll tell you, no, you're not doing this right, you're not doing this right. But you know, it's also good to Amr bil Ma'ruf as well. Encourage if there's some sisters out there you see, mashallah, she wears excellent hijab. Tell her she's doing a good job. That encouragement goes such a long way, brothers and sisters, believe me, it really does. Just to tell somebody, you know what, I really like this aspect of you. Because you know, we as humans, we tend to, there's like a white piece of paper, we tend to fixate ourselves on that one black dot. That's why we need ma'asumin. You see that? That's why we need ma'asumin. Because what happens if there's that one black dot on the paper, then say, okay, he did that black dot, so what makes us think that that person could have made more mistakes? That's why we have infallibles in the school of Ahlul Bayt. Because once you know that these people were sent from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, perfect God, perfect book, perfect messenger, and the perfect successors, you know this religion has been intact from day one all the way to the day of judgment. So in relation to enjoying the good, encourage. Like I said, encouragement can go a long way. Tell your friend that you appreciate that they have good akhlaq, if that's what they have. That they're always there when you need them. That's such an important aspect in friendship. If you notice, like sometimes you have a lot of good friends, and what happens that one day something happens to you. Let's say you run out of money or your car breaks down. You know what? Sometimes those friends are nowhere to be seen then, and that's a shame. Is that person a true friend if he just leaves you hanging like that? Of course not. Tell the folks that if you see that they're very charitable with money and time. How many of our parents, our brothers, our siblings, or have devoted their time and their money to ensure that the youth of these communities are fully invested in the religion of Islam, our beautiful religion. So may Allah give reward to those parents and siblings that have spent their time and their money. Ameen. At the end of the day, lastly, whose lives do we need to analyze in order to see what is true friendship? The biography of our Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And his Ahlul Bayt, his pure family. The Prophet had a large number of companions that were around him. Only a small number of those companions were true to his call throughout his life and after his death. For right now, just for right now, excluding the family members of the Prophet, there were 4 companions who stood out above the rest. Salman al-Farsi, Abu Dharr al-Ghafari, Miqdad ibn Aswad, and Ammar ibn Yasir. As you know, Salman al-Farsi, also known as Salman al-Muhammadi, because there's a famous riwayat that says that Salman is from the Ahlul Bayt. So a lot of people, you'll hear them say Salman al-Muhammadi. So that's where that stems from. Salman al-Farsi was one of the greatest companions of our Holy Prophet. What did he do? He was also one of the ones that gave the advice to the people. He gave the advice to the Prophet. He actually gave advice to the Prophet. He said, I suggest that we build a moat, a trench around the city of Medina, which is known as the Battle of Khandaq. See, he gave these types of advice. Ammar ibn Yasir, he had 2 parents, Yasir and Sumayya, who were known as the first martyrs in the religion of Islam. Both the Sunni and the Shia are in agreement that these companions, these 4 individuals, are the great companions. There's no doubt about these 4, from either side. But it's a shame how some of these great companions were treated by the ruling authorities and other companions after the Prophet's death. Abu Dharr al-Ghafari was exiled out of the city of Medina to a town called Radaba by the 3rd Khalifa, Uthman ibn Affan. Ammar ibn Yasir was killed in the Battle of Siffin by Muawiyah and his army. And Muawiyah and his army, who are they fighting against? They're fighting against the Khalifa of the time, Imam Ali alayhi salam. Speaking of the Battle of Siffin, in this battle there's a great example of how having a bad friend can be very disastrous. Muawiyah, his friend, was Amr ibn al-As, his best friend, his BFF. That's his BFF. Muawiyah's BFF was Amr ibn al-As. Do you know what this BFF did in the Battle of Siffin? He saw that Imam Ali's alayhi salam's army and Malik al-Ashtar, they were pushing forward. And they came very close to the tent of Muawiyah. So Amr ibn al-As, the advisor slash BFF, best friend of Muawiyah, he tells Muawiyah, I suggest that we put Qur'ans on spears as a defensive strategy so that we can throw the other side off. And it worked. It worked, unfortunately. Hence, there's this group called the Khawarij that were created. Khawarij. The word comes from Kharaja. If you ever go to the Middle East, you'll notice like an exit sign, it'll say Khuruj or Kharaj. Well, why does it say that? Because the word means exit, right? On an exit sign. Because what happened with Khawarij, what did? They exited out of the camp of Imam Ali alayhi salam. That means they left. They left the camp of Imam Ali alayhi salam. They left him high and dry. And by the way, one of those Khawarij ended up killing Imam Ali alayhi salam in the 40th year of Hijrah, in the month of Ramadan. A man by the name of Abdul Rahman ibn Muljim struck Imam Ali alayhi salam in the Masjid of Kufa while he was in Salat. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I mean, they put the Quran on spears. This is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask any Muslim today, would you put Quran on spears? I mean, subhanAllah, Muslims respect the Quran so much, just the words of the Quran, that when it comes to putting it in the house, they don't put it on like a lower end of the bookshelf. It's always on top, maybe on the top of a closet or in the top tier of a bookshelf. These are the so-called companions of the Prophet that are doing this. Even people today don't have that sense not to even do something like that. I mean, look at what happened with the Pastor Terry Jones with the Quran. Look at that. He wanted to burn the Quran on the 11th of September this past year actually, 2010. Muslims are up in arms because like, wow, how could you do such a thing? He doesn't want to read the book. He doesn't want to read the book. He doesn't know anything about the religion of Islam, and all he says Islam is the devil. I mean, this is a shame. This is a tragedy. This is why we as Muslims, old, young, small, big, it doesn't matter. We need to do our due diligence and to learn about this religion. Learn about it so we can defend it. You don't have to be an alim or a sheikh or a maulana to defend your religion. Because majority of the marja, they're out in the eastern hemisphere, right? They're not going to be there with us when we're getting attacked. They're doing their job. We must do our jobs as well. So who was the best friend of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Imam Ali alayhi salam. What a man. I mean, I could talk about Imam Ali alayhi salam forever and I would still never do him justice because this man was just amazing. What a man. Again, was he a great man because, he was the family member? No. Because you guys know who Abu Lahab is? Abu Lahab is the uncle of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's condemned in the Quran, chapter 111. That he's going to be burned in fire and his wife will be bringing the fuel. So it's not just because he's a family. Again, we're talking about a specific type of family we're talking about here. Imam Ali alayhi salam and his family are in a separate boat. Why is Imam Ali alayhi salam the Prophet's best friend? I'm just going to give you some reasons. He was the first to come to the call of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when the Prophet openly announced his prophethood at the age of 40. He slept in the bed of the Holy Prophet ﷺ to make sure he was safely left Mecca and went to Medina, which is commonly known as the Hijrah. The Prophet declared in front of everybody when he reached into Medina, all the Muhajirin are the ones who migrated from Mecca, went to Medina. So what happened is the Prophet ﷺ, because he's a genius. Why is he a genius? He's got the wahi coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Talk about management skills here. He takes people from the Muhajirin and the Ansar. He takes one of them and he pairs them up. Just so he can build that bond of brotherhood amongst one another. I'm telling you, if people just study the Prophet's lives, they'll become better project managers if they wanted to. Seriously. Wow. Guess who the Prophet declared brotherhood with? Imam Ali alayhi salam. This is something very unusual though. It's something very unusual that a lot of people don't discuss. What was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Was he a Muhajirin or Ansar? He migrated, right? He was one of those who migrated. What about Imam Ali alayhi salam? He also migrated from the city of Mecca to Medina. But guess what? Majority of the people, all the people that were paired up were Muhajirin and Ansar. But not with the Prophet. He took the hand of Ali in front of everybody. He said, "This is my brother." And it's narrated in the book of Ibn Hisham and Ibn Ishaq. These are two of the early historical biographies of our Holy Prophet. He also fought in so many battles. He fought in all the battles except for one. Badr, Uhud, Khandaq, Khaybar, Hunayn. And he never ran away from the battle. He never ran away. He didn't, as they would say here in America, he didn't punk out. He didn't punk out. Because you know what? If you're on the truth, you don't punk out. If I ask anybody wants to be a punk around here? Nobody's going to raise their hand. I know you brothers, I know you guys don't want to be no punks now. Right? Nobody wants to be a punk. Everybody wants to be strong and committed and dedicated. This is what you can learn by just looking at the life of Imam Ali alayhi salam. What a strong man. If we could just measure up to just a percentage or 2% of what he had, oh my God, we'd be like scores above the rest of the people.